Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is tune. Let's take a moment to look at some of the definitions or the ways that we use this verb. The first way you're likely to hear tune used is to mean to adjust a musical instrument to the correct or the uniform pitch. If you've ever attended a symphony, an orchestra concert, perhaps if you've arrived early, you've seen some of the performers kind of what might seem like practicing, right? But they're making adjustments to their instruments in order that they are kind of at that right pitch. This is something you could do professionally as well. There are people who tune pianos, get them to be just kind of like making the right sounds when you press the particular keys. Now, a second way you might hear tune used is to mean to adjust a radio or a television dial to the desired signal. So again, this kind of goes back to older technology, where people would have to kind of move things in order to get to the right frequency or the right wavelength. But I should say people still use it, right? They might tell you to tune to a particular station. That's why we still have this definition and this usage of the verb. Now, a third way you could use tune is in regards to your vehicle. So, anytime we're adjusting an engine so that the vehicle runs more smoothly, more efficiently, we will use this verb. So, again, this works with all types of automobiles, and if you need kind of some adjustments, you might hear tune used to describe those adjustments. A fourth way we can use the verb tune is to mean to adjust or adapt something to a particular purpose or a situation. This definition not quite as common, and will be. I hope what you're noticing through all of these really is we're talking about making adjustments. So that's a good synonym to remember for this particular verb. You should know that tune is a regular verb. To make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is drop the E because we have a vowel consonant E verb here, and then we'll add ing to form tuning. The past tense and participle forms of this verb could be made just by adding the letter D, since this verb already ends in an E. Our base verb tune ends in a voiced N sound. This means that when I add the past tense ending, I'm just going to make a D sound. So I'm not adding an extra syllable as I say it. The past tense and participle form of this verb should sound like this: tuned, tuned. Now, there are a number of phrasal verbs that connect to our verb of the day, so we're going to focus our discussion on those particular phrasal verbs. And the first one we'll discuss is to tune in or tune into. This can have a couple meanings. One would be to mean to watch a particular TV broadcast, a particular TV show, or to listen to a radio show or a radio broadcast. An example of this might be, tune in tomorrow for our in-depth interview with the mayor. Right? This is a phrasal verb I think you'll still hear if you listen to the radio or watch live television regularly, so less likely with streamers. But the idea here, right, is they want you to come back, right? And again, it kind of connects to those the older technology with what we used to do with TVs and radios more frequently. This example sentence, tune in tomorrow, this is an example of the imperative. Someone is giving us a command, telling us what to do. Now, a second way you'll hear tune in or tune into used is to mean to pay attention to or be responsive to someone or something. An example of this might be, have you tuned into current events recently? right? They might be asking, have you been reading about? Maybe have you been watching news? Are you following things that have been happening in our world or in our community? Have you tuned into is an example of the present perfect. This is a yes or no question. Now, another phrasal verb you'll encounter is to tune out, right? So we just said tune in can be like to pay attention. So tune out is going to have an opposite meaning. So here it might mean to stop paying attention to, or just kind of in your mind, we say mentally distance ourselves from someone or maybe from a particular environment. Let's take a look at an example sentence here. Some children tune out in class when they struggle to hear the teacher or see information presented. Right? So this sentence might be, again, kind of suggesting they just stop paying attention. It's too hard. This is an example of a simple present sentence. So here, this is a factual statement. Many people who struggle to hear or struggle to see, it's like, oh, it's just too hard. So I'm going to stop paying attention. I'm going to let my mind go to another place. Now, a second way you could use tune out is to mean to willfully ignore someone or something, right? So, again, this is also related to that idea of stopping your attention or to stop paying attention to something, but really maybe more on purpose. Maybe you're doing it to be a little mean, to dismiss a person. So I would say this second way has or second usage is going to have a little more negative connotation to it. So an example of this: are you tuning me out? I need you to pay attention. Now, I think this is something sometimes spouses, right, married couples might say, right? Maybe one is talking to other, trying to remind one of very important things that need to be done. But are you tuning me out is an example of the present progressive or the present continuous, right? So we would be talking about something happening right now. Now, there are two more phrasal verbs for us to discuss, or really just one with two different meanings. We're going to talk about tune up. Okay. Sometimes tune up gets used to talk about adjusting the musical instrument or any musical instrument in order to reach that correct pitch. Might think of that like a tone. An example of this might be, you should tune the piano up before next week's concert. Now, sometimes in these sentences, and this happens occasionally, where it doesn't seem necessary to include the phrasal verb, we could just make the sentence, you should tune the piano before next week's concert. It's going to have about the same meaning. I'm not always certain why we do this, kind of add extra words. I feel like it just makes things really difficult for those who are learning English sometimes. But you should tune the piano up is an example of a modal. It's our modal should. We're giving advice. Now, the second way you hear tune up used is referring to adjusting machinery or equipment. Again, this would tie back also to the vehicle definition we talked about. So whenever we're trying to improve something, make some small changes, so it's not necessarily that the thing is broken and it needs fixed. It maybe just needs some minor or small adjustments in order to make it work better. So an example of this: can we tune the car up before we drive across the country? Right. So here we might say this is another modal, right? With can, maybe someone is trying to politely suggest we should do this, asking about our ability, right? Maybe if I'm talking with another person, I'm sort of asking, like, do we have enough money to do this? But if you're taking any road trips this summer, so long car trips, this can be kind of a smart thing to do, especially if you haven't done it recently or haven't had repairs to the car, just to make sure everything is going to run as best as it can while you're traveling. Now, let's spend a few minutes looking at some words that are related to our verb tune. And the first word we're going to discuss today is just the noun form of this word. So, tune as a noun, you'll notice, has exact same spelling and the exact same pronunciation. When I use the word tune as a noun, I could be referring to a melody or a song. And I'm going to give you two example sentences for this definition. So, what tune are you humming, right? And humming is, this could be its own verb. Maybe it will be in a later video, kind of, right? That action, right? So we're not saying words, but we're kind of making musical sounds with our mouth, right? I also have a second one here. Who is in charge of the tunes for the party, right? This sentence would be referring to songs, right? Who's in charge of the music, right? Who's picking out the music that's going to be played during this particular party? Now, there's a second way the noun tune gets used, and it can refer to someone's approach, their behavior, or their attitude. So, an example of this might be the politician changed her tune on that policy once new polls showed the majority opposed it. And I should point out this is a pretty common phrase, kind of to change one's tune. And again, it could be referring to someone's approach, their behavior. In this case, maybe it sounds like a little bit of an opinion. So maybe we have a politician who says, "I'm strongly for this policy," right? And then polls come out that say people are against it, right? And so then the other person, "Oh, I'm against it too." They changed their tune. A third way we can use the noun tune is to refer to an amount or an extent of something. It's pretty common to hear this used in connection to money, and that's what my example sentence is going to be here. These custom-made pieces are up for sale to the tune of $100. Right? So it's kind of another way of saying kind of the cost here, the amount that these items are being sold for. Now, another related word that I feel is more common to hear is the noun auto-tune. This is a device that's used in music recording, sound recording, that helps automatically, right, tune something. So many times now it's computer software. So if somebody is singing out of tune, or we might say off key, right, a sound that doesn't sound all that great, the software can manipulate that voice so it sounds more in tune. An example of this in a sentence might be, it seems like the majority of pop music is using auto-tune now. And I think that's a pretty safe statement. I'm not a musical expert. You're going to see that in one moment here. But it is more and more common, especially in certain types of music. Now, we're going to talk about two phrases. The first would be in tune with. Sometimes people use this to talk about being in agreement or in harmony with something. An example of this might be, they believe this style of farming is in tune with nature. So I borrowed this sentence from an article about some organic farmers, right? And they were describing certain things that they do that are a little different than many other large farms right now. And they were describing why they think their actions sort of agree better with nature and what occurs more naturally in our world. Now, the last phrase we're going to discuss today is can't carry a tune. And really, when somebody says this, they're talking about someone who is unable to sing well or they lack musical ability. So, my example sentence, and one that is unfortunately very true, I can't carry a tune. I lack musical ability. You probably have noticed I don't sing in these videos. There's a reason for that. I like my viewers. I don't want to hurt your ears or cause you any pain. So I hope this video has been helpful in learning more about the verb tune. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.